My name is Paweł Bochniarz and I'm with Radix Ventures. And today we have a great setup of panelists to answer questions about the challenges and the path ahead of the clean tech in Central and Eastern Europe. So, CEE has become a vibrant hub for clean tech innovation and energy innovations. And according to a recent report from PwC, funding for clean tech rose from a mere 120 million in 2018 to over 800 million in 2022. So I think we can be quite bullish about the role of VCs in financing clean tech. But last year brought the first dip in clean tech investments, and it wasn't just experienced in our region, but also globally a 6% decrease, first time since 2015. We've also seen some negative developments. The climate around climate tech has shifted. We've seen a major rollback of US regulations, a stop on clean tech research funding in the US. We've also seen that in Europe there is a greater concern about the viability of Green Deal and its implications for industry. So there's a lot of headwinds, and I guess our panel today is to ask and answer questions. Are we on track of energy transition in CEE, or are we experiencing some hiccups on the way? So we have a great set of panelists, and I'll make very short introductions, starting here with Małgorzata. Małgorzata Bugajska is a very special person, joining in one person two roles. So she's a corporate executive at Luma Holding, responsible for all ESG initiatives across the group. But she also is managing a startup, which is a spin-off, I guess, of Luma, called KCDO. Which introduces to the market digital products that facilitate energy transition. We also have with us Feltmann, an investment and deal sourcing manager at VERBUND X Ventures, so affiliated with the largest energy company in Austria. Edward's fund is investing at early stage in startups that enable energy transition. Patric Gresko, head of the institutional mandate relationships for Eastern Europe, Baltics, and Nordics at the European Investment Fund. So he's inviting public actors to co-invest in energy transition and also other areas across our region. And we also have here with us Marek Garniewski, so president of the board of ORLEN VC, one of the largest corporate venture capitals in our region. So Marek, you've been working in the space for 5 years now, I think, and it's great to have you with us. So without any further delays, let's jump to the first question. Are we experiencing a slow death of clean tech, or is the news exaggerated? Patric, maybe over to you. As an important actor in the VC space in Europe, you've been able to look at the landscape for the last couple of decades. So, how do you see it?
Thanks, Paweł. Dzień dobry. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to this very interesting panel. Well, the facts are the facts. You've mentioned that, Paweł, that the numbers have gone down over the last 12 months, not 24 months, 12 months. But, and we hear much and more often again that clean tech is dead. And if clean tech is dead, I would say it's a pretty resilient animal, right? I would call it a phoenix. At EIF, we have invested for the first time in a fund fully focused on clean tech. It was back in 2006, 2007. That was a UK-based fund at the time, ETF, then Capricorn Clean Tech. That was the first investments we made. 6 years afterwards, around 2012, 2013, we heard that clean tech was dead. That was the first time we heard clean tech was dead. And then there was a second wave, a second generation of VC funds investing in clean tech. And 6 years down the road, again, around 2019, we heard clean tech is dead. So it's not the first time that we're hearing that sentence. And I don't believe that clean tech is dead. And I'll explain you why. The first one is what we are observing is that clean tech is not anymore reserved for funds fully focused on clean tech. We see that it's becoming a mainstream, attractive industry for, I would say, generalist technology venture capital funds. We see that over the years, the generalist tech VCs, and especially those focused on deep tech, are increasing the share of their portfolio to companies which can be labeled as clean tech, where we're standing around for the generalist VCs at 20%. So that's the first reason. It has become mainstream and very attractive to the mainstream VC. The second point is that what we are observing for the last, I would say, 5-6 years is we see a new breed of venture capital funds focused on clean tech. And this new breed is VC funds which are being set up by former successful fund managers in tech together with serial entrepreneurs in tech. So funds that had a generalist strategy and are shifting more and more and quasi exclusively to clean tech. These kind of profiles come with a wealth of experience. They've made it. They went through the highs and downs of VC. So they know the trick of the trade of VC, and now they're willing to apply this wealth of experience to clean tech funds only. They're very promising. And then we have to say that there is a number of VCs that have been raised 10, 15 years ago that coming back on the market, and they have proven themselves. We are having funds focused on clean tech in the F portfolio, which are displaying today net IRRs of 15, 16, 17%, and who are demonstrating through cash-on-cash distribution that it is an attractive class from a financial perspective. So this is at the micro level. Then at the macro level, well, you're all reading the news as I am. The geopolitics are undergoing significant tectonic shifts. In Europe, we are realizing, hopefully we're realizing now, I think it's the last chance for us to realize and to hear this wake-up call, that we need to become more autonomous across all fields, from a venture capital perspective, from an industrial perspective, from a distribution logistics perspective. And the effects of that is that we will see, and we're seeing, a very strong acceleration of the electrification of the industry in Europe, across all fields. And we see that at EIF through our infrastructure fund of fund activity. So we're investing in funds which are investing in sustainable infrastructure, so windmills, solar panels, energy storage, etc. The market demand is outpacing our investment capacity, including here in Central and Eastern Europe. We're seeing the first funds focus on energy infrastructure coming out of Central and Eastern Europe, and this will have a trickle-down effect. So the more we will electrify our industry, the higher will be the needs for deep tech solutions to allow this fast electrification of the industry. So grid storage, grid management, artificial intelligence applied to the electrification of the networks. This is all demands which will make the clean tech domain, the clean tech field, even more attractive to mainstream VC. So I wouldn't say that clean tech is dead. On the contrary, there is a huge opportunity ahead of us for the micro level that I've explained, but also for the macro reasons that we're undergoing in Europe now.
Edward, if you want to comment on this, because I think clean tech for companies like VERBUND or ORLEN, it's a strategic choice, right? It's a way of diversifying away from the former historical core business. How are you looking at this?
Sure. Also, good morning from my side, and thank you all for showing up on the second day of an event. It's always second day drop, so I think it's great to see the attendance, and hopefully we can give you your money's worth in this discussion today. From my perspective, I really sort of echo your sentiments on that, and VERBUND is a very large Austrian utility. We are corporate venture capital, so as you said, we really are focused more on investing for strategy and also for financial return. Look, clean tech's not dead. On the contrary, I think it's an opportunity for those of us who are investing in it to have the self-confidence to continue making these key investments regardless of what's going on geopolitically. Yes, I can also, you can hear from my voice, I'm an American in disguise here for an Austrian company. So sitting on both sides of this and being acutely aware of what's going on. Look, let's not forget, I mean, there's 6 of the 9 or 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries that have been crossed. I mean, more than ever, we need to invest in clean tech. And I think we have, maybe also as a utility that has a venture capital fund, we do have the advantage that we can be a very active investor basically in all weather. We made 6 startup investments last year ourselves as a fund, and we continue to look to do that this year. So maybe it's an opportunity. Also, valuations may be down for some clean tech investments, and I think those of us on the market that are active are looking for those opportunities.
Thanks. Marek, you want to comment on that as well?
Yeah, I will not change the lead, actually. You know, I think that if we are thinking about the clean tech, we have to understand what kind of challenges we are tackling with those investments. And it's not only on decarbonizing of energy production, but basically having a diversified access to the energy and being able to respond to that demand that we see. Just like last year, 2% of the energy consumption came from AI. So we know it's a big trend. They will need a lot of optimization across the grid, across the power utilities that we own on different, that run on different fuel, not only on renewables, but also on gas, which we believe will be kind of a transition fuel that will lead us to more diversified, more dispersed power generation. So I agree with all of that, honestly, and the fact that we kind of got a slap from Trump administration in Europe, and that we got a wake-up call. It's actually great, because now we are looking for business models that are, well, basically affordable, and that they pay off without subsidiaries. So we had a big trend. Too many players actually took part probably in a clean tech space, especially guys that had no idea around it, but they had a lot of money. They increased the valuations of many companies that they didn't deserve it yet, I guess. And we always look at it as at kind of a rationalization of the valuations, of the time that the technology can take to get matured, and the fact that we do not have to follow the linear curve, if I can call it, that was given by the administration, the European administration, that we can rationalize, we can make investments that actually change and allow us to keep up the pace in that change. So energy transition is not only about decarbonization, it's also about security, meeting the demand, and affordability, making the
and flexibility as well, right? And as you said, I mean, new demand is showing up, and it's quite significant. Guys, so if we can move to the second question, and audience, please be aware that I will be asking you for questions just in a moment. So please prepare mentally for that. And the second question is has to do with what we are also seeing, not from the West, let's say, but also from the East. So the growing competition of China and the prevalence of its clean tech technologies. I mean, China currently controls over 70% of global manufacturing capacity in lithium-ion batteries, over 80% in photovoltaics, and it's nearing 60% in electric vehicles and their components. So, and it's no longer a imitation. I mean, we can't pretend that. We used to say that, the US innovates, China imitates, and Europe regulates. Well, I think China has moved to innovating as well. So we missed that train as well. The question is, can Europe carve out for itself, like technology niches or specializations where we can really be competitive and outpace both the US and China? Małgorzata, what do you think about that?
I was just guessing. The most difficult question comes here. I think, first of all, obviously, every entrepreneur and every person in business, it's going to be like always the question in the morning, right? Who's getting better and how I can get better. So definitely, I think for Europe, it's just a question only how, not if, because obviously we will have to carve the place for us, and we did already carve a couple of little places for us in the clean tech space. I was just wondering how to structure this answer. And one thing could be what Asia is very good at is just to giving themselves an ambition to follow and a vision to build upon. And I think the Europe just found its vision again, right? In the sense we can be strong, we want to be strong, and we're very good at getting strong very fast. So I guess that's definitely, we can check the box and say, yes, we do have a vision to follow. We do have enough brains to do it. We still have a very good manufacturing, which we can build upon and make it even more innovative. And we are good in software. And clean tech is about hardware and software. It's not only about software. So I guess we do have a lot of great components. We try to put with the 28th legislation really the united Europe together. We do have great allies, and we can definitely work, let's say, with Africa together to open a great markets for Europe. So there is a lot of things which will help us to make our ambition valid. And I even put so the third, the big market. I was also wondering, there is something in Europe like this being underdog suits us, right? You know, nobody counts on us, but if things are happening, we can stand united and really do fast decisions in good directions. And we take pride in being European, and we saw it also in Brussels about made in Poland, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff which we don't have that talent as US to talk about things we're good at, and I think we can steal some of the ideas there. And they definitely will give us enough energy. We showed with other complex geopolitical situation that we are able to master them, and maybe even better than other parts of the world. So a lot of great components, and I think if we pick up the right goals, we will definitely master them sooner than later.
Thanks, Małgorzata. So hardware, software combination could be like the sweet spot for EU. Patric, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. We have a lot of assets on the European side that we shouldn't forget. We should be a bit more self-assured about our prospects. As you've mentioned, we have great scientific publications. We have a startup community and a venture capital community which has come a long way over the last 20 years. The VCs now have a financial performance which is comparable to the US on average. But there is one component that I would add to what you said, Małgorzata, is the mobilization of all actors to provide capital to the innovation ecosystem in Europe. We've come a long way thanks to the strong public support of institutions like EIB, EIF that I'm representing, member states who have chipped in a lot of public money to support venture capital and innovation, but that model is not sustainable anymore. The demand that we're facing, the challenges that we're facing are well beyond what the public budgets can afford. And hence, we need the mobilization of institutional investors, pension funds, insurance companies, family foundations. I'm happy to see here that we have corporates which are active in that field, but that's not the case for every corporate in Europe. I think you've seen, like I did some 2-3 weeks ago, Jeff Bezos was explaining the difference between US and Europe in the financing of innovation. And he was mentioning that we have a very strong banking system in the US, I think an even stronger banking system in Europe, but the big difference resides in venture capital. US is the only country where an entrepreneur with a brilliant idea, not even a product, with a brilliant idea, can dream of having a ticket of 30, 40, 50 million euros from a single VC. without a product, without sales. In Europe, there are maybe 5-6 funds who are able to afford taking that risk. So we need bigger fund. We don't need necessarily more funds, but we need bigger fund sizes, and that's one of the challenges in Central and Eastern Europe. If we want Central and Eastern Europe to catch up with the rest of Western Europe, we need the mobilization of the private capital to support the local VC ecosystem, which will then allow more capital to flow into the most innovative companies here in the region.
Thank you. So over to the audience for questions. If you have any questions to panelists, raise your hand, and we have here a volunteer with a mic. Here in the second row, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's very relevant and informative discussion. I have a question because, Paweł, you mentioned at the beginning that we have a lot of currently problems coming from the US that is a bit stopping the investments in the climate tech. But do you think that in the term of the new clean industrial deal in Europe, an omnibus regulation, which is a bit stopping kind of reporting, but actually we have a bigger demand for the transition of the decarbonization of the business, can it kind of be of competitive advantage for the Europe to maybe catch up at least with this industry, with the US or some Asian countries? And what do you think that at the end, I still believe that our traditional industries are pretty much underinvested, like grid, for example. Grid in Europe has been in really bad shape. We also see with the war in Ukraine how important it has to be to have really strong infrastructure, and how we can catch up and mobilize financing on this issue, which is also very important because the climate tech is actually solving a micro problem, but we have also like a really big problem coming with energy infrastructure in Europe. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for the question. I think, you know, we have this issue in Europe, which is not only about clean tech, but same goes for AI, for example, is that we tend to look at the risks before we look at the benefits, right? And somebody compared it to a situation where you're building a car, but before you allow it to drive, you think of all the wrong things that can happen, you know, and you know how an accident can happen and people can get injured, and you know, and then before the car gets going, you know, you need to implement all these security measures, right? And just this prolongs the adaptation of innovation, you know, forever. Like, I mean, seatbelts were not invented together with a car. They came, you know, after a while when people realized that, well, we have to force this, you know, technology to be implemented because manufacturers on their own don't have the, you know, financial benefit to carry that cost, and the social costs, the externalities are huge, right? So we have to do it, but I think we overdid it with AI, with the AI Act, and I think we also overdid it with the burden of ESG reporting in Europe in general, right? So we have to roll back some of that in order for innovation to flourish. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if any one of you would like to comment on that.
So just taking your advice about the good things, what really worked or works is because of the diversity in Europe, the use cases developed in Denmark can be applied if suitable to Poland. Something developed in Czech Republic can be used in France, and so on. We have different pieces of grid, but if you look at at the US, you have East, West, and Texas. In a sense, an island, and this does not work as well. So I think right now how the countries are learning about the grids and how to work with the grid and different business models in Europe, I mean, this is huge amount of knowledge which can be shared and applied. I was speaking recently with somebody from tiny country of Switzerland, which is tiny but has huge amount of energy providers, which is really funny. And they said, well, the best business models for electricity came from Poland. It was, I think, 10 or 15 years ago. I mean, brilliant ideas. So I think when we put them together, not as a regulation, but just like exchange of knowledge and adaptation of some use cases, we maybe already solved a couple of very, very funny problems in Europe and can go on. And I think with the grid, that's going to be probably never a situation of a greenfield in grid, right? I mean, the stuff have to function. So it's always going to be hit and run and work. And I think this is also something which we already got used to. And now we're going to have a huge consumers, or have already, as data centers need a lot of energy, and we're going to have a lot of renewables producing the energy. So now the idea is with the software, how are we going to solve the problem of somebody needs a lot of energy all the time, and there is some energy being produced from time to time. And that's a nice game to play and to make it a brilliant solutions.
Thank you, Małgorzata. And Edward, so I will give the mic to you, but I'll connect it with my next question,
Sure.
because Małgorzata has talked a little bit about the smart grid applications, which I think are of foremost importance, and you know the rise of the prosumer economy, the adaptation, wider and wider adaptation of energy storage, long-term energy storage will only make that more sophisticated, more complicated, new solutions will need to be developed. So the question to you, I mean, this is obviously also a key area for VERBUND, and you know, what do you think about this particular area of opportunity? Do you see others, other areas developing in Europe, and you know, how do you see the landscape for energy and clean tech innovation, like 5 or 10 years from now? What's happening?
Good. Just want to step back to your question. I love it. I am flattered that there's still the cowboy mentality of the U.S. is still alive and well, that we're more risk takers and that Europe's not. Working for an Austrian company for 20 years and seeing that risk culture and risk appetite has always been very interesting. But maybe to turn the question around is, what is the risk of not doing things? I always put that always was something that came to my mind as a former risk manager is, what is the opportunity cost of not taking action? And what more signals do we need here in Europe and to do it? I think maybe the key difference is maybe Europe is more cognizant of externalities of the decisions that they make. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that helps us make even better decisions. Okay, so risk manager hat off, venture capital back on. Look, I think some of the things that we've echoed and probably you've heard in the last few days that are definitely in the media is that yes, Europe kind of missed an opportunity to be leaders in some of the key technologies that we've been talking about, lithium-ion batteries, that there are bigger technology opportunities in the US. So I think that now is a good time to reflect and to say as Europeans, where can we go in the next 10 years? Now we have there's a 10-year cycle to, I think, take advantage and look at some new opportunities in deep tech, in AI, in maybe novel things like fusion. I work for a company that doesn't invest in anything atomic, so I have to defer on, there's probably better experts on that. For VERBUND itself, I think the opportunities that we're looking at are definitely in the storage area, definitely in flexibility. We have strategically one of the markets that we're growing in significantly now is Spain, in renewables, so in a lot of solar and a lot, not so much wind. We absolutely need to have storage assets and startups and partners that can help enable that into flexibility markets. We're anticipating things opening up more there. And it's VERBUND Ventures, we're very actively looking in these markets, and we'll be making investments this year in Spain and in other markets throughout Europe. So I think those are some of the key areas to look at. Other topics, maybe green hydrogen is a little bit off the table. Maybe even electric mobility is a little bit in a downtrend, but these issues will not go away as well, especially if Europe is focused on independence. And we know that AI, I think the CEO of NVIDIA was talking about the real key, very recently, the element there is untapping energy. Really, the AI development is a function of how much energy we can supply and is necessary to speed things up. So I think there's a lot of spaces and a lot of opportunities.
Marek?
Yeah, even technologies as green hydrogen ain't on a bad path, obviously, because if we are thinking about become very diversified and not have to rely on some suppliers from east or west, I guess, because we were very keen on these partnerships with US. Now we have to, like you said, take a step back, look at it again, and think what we can do ourselves, then even green hydrogen will be necessary to actually be diversified and be self-sufficient. And talking about the grid, it's also quite an interesting case, because when we are thinking about the grid in US, we think it's modernized and so on. It's not. It's even older than in Europe. Grid is a big issue in both US and Europe, especially if we are thinking about the increase of demand for the power in different applications. Of course, AI, computing power is one of them. So just recently, ORLEN announced almost 8 billion capex program, 8 billion Polish zloty capex program on building intelligent power lines and transmissions. So we know that we have to find a way of making those cables intelligent, so we can gather data, we can optimize it. So as referring to the previous things that were said before, we need software. Probably AI-enhanced software for optimizing our assets, but we also need new hardware, a lot of new hardware that will actually enable us to be more efficient, to be closer to our clients, to be ready to propose them with new ideas, new solutions. So energy segment or energy utilities are going through a tremendous change. We used to say, it will be an evolution of a kind. And now I'm leaning even more into saying that it will be rather a revolution than an evolution, because we thought that we have a lot of time because of our partnerships with US, for example, and from China as well. Obviously, 80% of the manufacturing came from there. So even though people said that they do not cooperate, they were in a way with China. They are very way ahead in terms of electrification, electrifying all their businesses. And it's not only about, saving the planet, what I said on the backstage. It's about human health, affordability, security, and all those things. So if we are thinking about clean tech as per se, I would rather call it an energy transition, energy evolution, revolution, I don't know, which is more accurate. But we really need a lot of new technologies in this space. So claiming that clean tech is dead, I would be far from that statement.
Okay, but to fuel this power shift, Marek, we need talent, right? We need people who will bring these ideas, and I think we have many of these entrepreneurs and students considering, where to apply their talents. And I'm a little concerned that with the shout of uncertainty, sort of surrounding the clean tech area, some of them may want to work on, maybe lesser, goals. How would you make clean tech attractive? How would you advise these, young entrepreneurs to make their bets on clean tech? What would you say to them?
Yeah, first of all, don't give up, I guess. Honestly, if you listen not to the politicians, but to the business owners and the people that are actually dealing and paying for all those technologies, they are very keen on that technologies. They're really looking for that. The fact that we have two representatives of corporate VCs from utility sector tells a lot. Patric said again about corporate players stepping in. So I think that corporate players from energy sector came in like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. Some even later. And I will even bring some talks from CERAWeek that happened like 3 weeks ago in Houston, where new administration came to say, so the Ministry of Energy in US, greeted the people and said that the Biden administration was bad, Trump administration will be great, drill baby drill, our wives, this is a quote, our wives need to have electricity in houses so they can stay at home, which was kind of painful to receive. And then you had all those execs from Chevron, Shell, BP, and so on, talking about all those changes, all those dramatic changes that are going through US, how the IRA was a big thing and now it's not. and so on, and all those acts being stopped at this moment. And they said, well, we've put so much money in this transition, and now we know that we need it, that it won't be the case. We rarely heard from any of those execs that they are very happy with this change. And the main reason is that, you know, the drill baby drill quote comes from Trump administration, meaning that they would like to have a lot of you know, fossil fuels at low prices. And it's not feasible in the nearest future. Energy cost is high, and it's an energy-heavy industry. The work, you know, the work costs also went up, and on top of that, because of the turmoil and as you say, tectonic shifts around this sector, we also have to pay, or they should be paid, an extra premium over the risk of another thing changing around, you know, U.S. administration. So if Trump is thinking about, you know, having oil at the price of $40 per barrel, these execs say that it won't go down the road under the 60 or 65. So, you know, from the big applause at the very beginning, you know, the mindset and the humor wasn't that great at the end of the conference. So don't give up. Follow your path. Make your business models sustainable. Don't rely only on you know, subsidies that come from different segments. And honestly, this is probably our part, and I say it very often, that Europe, fortunately, got a slap, and European corporations will have to take actions and test your solutions earlier. Because what US did great, they were, you know, helping to develop those technologies, and they were introducing those technologies very early on in their business cases, in their, you know, assets and so on. In Europe, the risk of failing is probably the major thing that managers think of. So they have to step away from that, think about maybe, you know, making decisions when they have 80% of the information ready, not 100% being sure, because then it's too late. So I really honestly believe that there is a good time heads on for the next 2-3 years for those people that are actually working on energy transition technologies. Let's call it clean tech as well, fine, but energy transition is the key word for me.
Okay, guys, we'll be wrapping up. This is the last opportunity to ask questions to our panelists. So if anybody wants to do that, please raise your hand. Okay, here we have two people raising their hands. Okay, please.
Hi, great to hear you speak. I have a question about AI opportunities for you from the business perspective. Is using AI in both software and hardware an actual opportunity for the CEE's energy transition, or is it more of like a theoretical talk? And if you believe that we can or already are implement AI in energy transition solutions, how can we balance it with its negative environmental impact, like water or energy usage?
Great question.
Yeah,
Thank you. Edward or Mark? Yeah. I'm on the spot here. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, I think we can't. Oh, sorry.
Closer.
Hello. All right. Hi, everyone. We can't turn back time on AI. I mean, yes, there are impacts to what it means about the amount of computing power, the amount of data storage, the amount of energy usage, and those externalities. And we mentioned planetary boundaries before. There are intentional ways, I think, to deal with that. Of course, what are the sources of energy that we're talking about? And there may be additional sources that we need to consider in the future, and their implications as well. But I think from our perspective, or sitting where I am in the energy business, we're definitely looking at use cases to enhance our business, to enhance our efficiency, and to look for new products and services for our customers that are green, that use AI, and that can be sourced in with renewable energy and things that are hopefully dealing with those negative impacts?
There is a lot of use cases, honestly, from home energy management systems throughout managing the grid, managing the power production, bringing some new services to our clients, loyalizing them. Honestly, I hardly see any technology around energy sector today without any AI component. And it's not a buzzword. It's really around efficiency because the hardware doesn't change much at this moment. At least, maybe in some specific cases, but AI enables all those hard assets, old assets, to be more optimized and produce or transfer more energy. And this is all about. So we have to meet the demand. We know that we cannot set up enough, producing powers in such a short time. We have to optimize, and the best way to do so is through AI and machine learning and so on.
Małgorzata, you're right in the eye of the cyclone,
yeah,
right?
because yesterday this fantastic panel at a workshop about fall in love with the problem, not with the product. And I think what you just talked about is a beautiful problem to be solved, right? I mean, not to look at data centers, AI as like this island and wow, we invented it, it's great, but the part of ecosystem, it eats energy, give us an opportunity to solve problems which a bunch of analysts cannot because of a sheer scale, and how to put these two together to make actually a very good solution, right? So right now, there are lots of solutions like the data center being this heating center for the city. So the heat is being recovered. Still the problem is water, obviously. I haven't heard about a very nice solution for the water, but it's a very great problem to look for a solution because everybody needs this solution, right? So it's again something which is not only for Europe, it's actually for everybody to use later on. So beautiful problem to be solved.
Okay, great. We have to be wrapping up, so our time is up. So thanks a lot for your discussion. I think the conclusion is that clean tech is not dead, as it has been declared in the past for many times. It's a phoenix, to quote Patrick. But the reason why it's not dead is that it just makes business sense. It's not just good for the planet, but it just makes perfect business sense. And the testimony of which is the presence of Edward and Marek here with us. There are great opportunities, so if you think of getting involved in that space as a young entrepreneur, it's absolutely the space to be in. There are great technology opportunities out there, great problems to be addressed, so stay put and stay committed to the energy transition. Thank you very much for your fantastic, yes? Edward?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you guys. Moderation.
Thanks for the questions
for being a great
from the
crowd.
audience. You can follow up in the corridors here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.